Welcome to the I Will Mindset podcast. My name is Chris Elmore, your host, and this is episode 1. This is an idea I have had, a concept, a philosophy that I have developed over years of endurance training. And it's come about through setting goals. And it doesn't only apply to endurance training. It could be any goal you have. Losing weight. It could be saving money. It could be as simple as getting up earlier. Whatever goals you're setting, this philosophy, this mindset could be applied. And this idea has been tumbling around in my head for quite a while. For those of you who don't know me, I work in product development and I have these ideas all the time. I'm spitting out ideas, concepts, things that might work, things that will never work. And in many cases, I think these ideas are great and I buy a website. So I create videos online under the name CJ Media. And on there, I have talked a lot about my journey. But I figure I can share that here so that you get an idea of who I am. But before I do that, let's start with a short statement that really set up this mindset for me at a very young age. It's an adage. An adage is a short statement or an expression of a general truth, something that people say that for the most part, it's true. It makes sense. And I've done some research on this and couldn't really find the source, any concrete evidence as to where it came from. I just thought it was an old-time saying, and it's something my dad said to me when I was a kid. Whenever I would say, I want this toy, right? I want to do this. I want that. And he would say to me, want in one hand and shit in the other, and see which one gets full first. And as a kid, that just seemed like a really funny saying. It felt like some country saying something, but I don't know where it came from, but it just was funny. But he would say it to me all through growing up. And while it might seem harsh to say that to a kid, ultimately that statement, that adage is what helped develop my mindset. I see it as the profound statement that my dad made to me as a kid that really helped me try and achieve things. And people say, I want all the time. And whenever I hear it, it takes me back to him saying that when I was a kid. I want to lose weight. I want to wake up early. I want to save money. I want to run a marathon. I want to complete an Ironman. People say, I want all the time. They throw it around just so easily. It's almost as if it's just a wish. It's a desire. It's nothing that is so important and so critical that they're taking ownership of it. And through the years, as I've heard people say, I want, and I go back to that statement, I started to set my goals using a different term, and that term is will. I love the word will because do you have the will to complete it? It speaks to your strength as well as a very bold statement that takes ownership and responsibility. So I started to replace I want with I will. The idea is that you are committing to your goal with ownership and responsibility, right? It's just a mental shift. And that shift is going to help you stay focused. It's a very motivating statement. When I say I will lose weight, that is extremely motivating, right? It's very resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks. So when you say I will, you are saying you will be relentless. I love that word. I love the word relentless. You will be relentless. It's going to take dedication, consistency, learning from your failures, but you are saying that you have an unwavering self-belief that you will complete this goal. And that's really where the concept is rooted. It is an unwavering self-belief. So that's where the concept of the I will mindset has come from. So let's go back for a minute and talk about who I am. My name is Chris. I'm 47 years old. I'm married. I've been married for 17 years, and I have 2 little girls. They are amazing. They are challenging. They are funny, and they keep me running. They keep me busy. They both play sports. One is in club soccer. One is in club volleyball. One takes voice lessons. One takes acting lessons. They are super involved in school clubs. My oldest is in robotics. So it is constantly busy in my life. And there's a saying by Michael Hyatt that says, the busier you are, the more intentional you must be. And that word intentional is very deeply rooted, very tied to the I will mindset. Being intentional with the decisions you make. If you have goals and you want to get to that goal, you want to accomplish that goal, you need to be very intentional with your decisions, the distractions you let into your life. So being intentional, I'm going to talk about that a lot. But let's go back. Where was I? Married 17 years, 2 girls. I am an electronic engineer by trade. I do product development. I've worked for my company for 26 years, and I am an endurance athlete. I have competed in triathlon for many, many years. My first one was in 2005, and I'm also an ultra runner. I have done 4 Ironmans, all before my children were born. And since then, I have done a bunch, too many to count, Ironman 70.3s. I have qualified for 2 world championships, competed in St. George and in Finland recently for the Ironman 70.3 world championships. And I mentioned ultra running. I love trail running. I love being in nature. I love hiking, and trail running combines both of those. I have done all distances of races from 50Ks, which is just over 60 miles, or just over 30 miles, 100Ks, which is over 60 miles. And I've done stage races, 6-day stage race in Colorado twice, where we've run over 120 miles. And the longest run I have ever done was at the Beyond Limits Ultra, a 72-hour ultra, and I ran 172 miles. And let me tell you, that requires an I will mindset. That run was on a 2-mile trail in the mountains with a camp. You're essentially staying in a teen youth camp, and you have a bunk. So every 2 miles, you can quit. There is food constantly. And I wanted to do this race because I felt like mentally it was so hard, because it's one thing when you run point to point from here to there, 100 miles. It's not as easy to give up, because then you got to get back somehow. You got to get a ride. But with a 2-mile loop, you have a chance to quit every 20 minutes or so if you're doing 10-minute miles. So that required a true I will mindset, a commitment to getting as far as I possibly could. I had never run 100 miles. That was my goal, to run 100 miles. And then beyond that, see how far I could go. I also mentioned I create videos on YouTube. I go under the name CJ Media, and for many years, I have been documenting my journey to complete my goals in primarily endurance, whether it was trail running and Ironman racing, triathlon, things like that. But I mix that in with balancing a career, relationships, family, all of those types of things. So it's not just a come run with me type videos. I try to be extremely transparent. I try and be very authentic and share what the journey is and the highs and the lows all along the way. So what are my thoughts on where this is going to go? Well, I'd like to have some guests on in the future, but many of the episodes will be me talking about the concepts, the things that I see are critical to this mindset, this I will mindset. And first, let's go over, I would say, 5 or 6 things that I see are extremely critical for a person that is wanting to commit to goals and is essential to the I will mindset. Number one, it's clearly defining a goal. You need to clearly define what that goal is, and then you need to break that goal down into actionable steps. Many people will say, I want to run a marathon. And if you've been sitting on the couch for a year, you can't just get up and go run a marathon next week. And running a marathon, it could take you 16, 20, 26 weeks, a year. Depending on your current state, it could take you a very long time to train for that. So when you set a goal that is that large, that big, it's going to take a really long time. So in order to be more successful at that, you want to be able to break that down into actionable steps. So when you define your goal, you need to take the time. You need to plan. You need to be strategic. You need to sit down and define smaller goals. Maybe it's run a 5K, then it's run a 10K, then it's run a half a marathon. But creating these small actionable goals, things that you are reaching along the way, one, it encourages you to keep going. It allows you to celebrate. But if this ultimately is just this thing that's way out there, it's much further away. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So let's define our goals clearly. Let's break them down. And these goals need to be achievable. I cannot set the goal, I want to run a sub 2-hour marathon. One, the world record is not under 2 hours. That goal is not achievable by me. Someone will run a sub 2-hour marathon, but it's certainly not going to be me. So I am not going to set that goal. Right now, I have a few of my own goals. 8 months ago, a few months ago, 8 months ago, I had surgery on my pubic symphysis, which is the tissue that connects your left and right pubic bone together, just in the front, below your belly button, about 6 inches. And what started to happen were my left and right pubic bones were starting to smash together when I ran, which is extremely painful. That caused those bones to kind of calcify and start to grow. So the gap between the bones, which has that tissue, the pubic symphysis, started to get smaller. So it started to compress that tissue. It started to create small tears in that tissue, which became extremely painful. While running, I would also then hold my abs very, very tight in order to try to stabilize my core and my pelvis so that they didn't move a lot. Well, through the amount of running I was doing and time, I tore my abs off of the pubic plate. Your abdominals, they come down below your chest all the way down, and at the very bottom, each side, the left side and the right side, with a tendon, they attach to your pubic bones, and they call that the pubic plate. Well, I tore the right side off of the pubic plate because of how much stress I was putting my abs under. I dealt with this pain for about 6 to 8 months. It started to come up slowly. It felt like an ab strain, and eventually it got to the point where I could not run without being in extreme pain. So last March, I went in for surgery to shave down the bones, to cut out all the bad tissue, and to reattach my abs to the pubic plate. That was extremely painful, I will tell you, post-surgery. And now it's been 8 months and I am starting to run again. I gained weight during that time. I was depressed. I felt like it didn't matter. I struggled with making the decision to go to this surgeon, this specialist. He was out of network. It was going to cost me more than $10,000 of my own money in order to go have this done. Or I could just stop running. I could still swim. I could still cycle. I could make the decision to not run again, because in my mind, what if it came back? Ultimately, after seeing the doctor, he explained to me that this is kind of just a mechanical breakdown of my body. Maybe it's overuse. Maybe it had to do with run form. But essentially, after this surgery, I would be back to 100%, and it would be like resetting the clock. So back to being a young kid again. With that, I decided I would have the surgery. Since then, I took 12 weeks where I could not run at all, could do very little exercise, was able to start swimming and cycling about 3 or 4 weeks after the surgery. And now, 8 months later, I am still struggling, still working to get my run back to where it was prior to this injury starting to show itself, which was essentially July 2022. So, 18 months ago or so. And today I'm still working to rebuild my running base, to rebuild my leg turnover. My hip flexors became extremely weak during that time. Once I started running again, my adductors were extremely painful, seized up very tight. All of these things started to essentially go away during all of those years, or during all of that. Essentially, those muscles and tendons, all of that stuff were dormant because I couldn't run for so long. And since having the surgery, it has been a struggle to get that stuff moving again, to feel like I can run without being in pain. And this is not pain from what the injury was. This is pain from the surrounding muscles and all of the tendons and all that. But I'm getting there. I am now doing speed workouts. I am now increasing my cadence, and I'm there. So I have 3 goals set for 2024. One goal actually set for this year, the first one, which is to race a sub 5 hour 70.3 Ironman again. I have yet to break 5 hours on what I would say is a normal course. I raced Ironman 70.3 Oregon. It has a downriver with current, essentially swim, and I went 4:48. That is amazing, but I've yet to do that at any of the other races I have done this year. I've been over 5 hours. So goal number 1, break 5 hours again. Goal number 2 is to run a sub 7-minute per mile pace run in a 70.3. I want my run in a 70.3 to break 7-minute mile pace. And then beyond that, my next goal is to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and that is in 2024. I have one more race this year. It's Ironman 70.3 La Quinta, which is just a few weeks away, which I'm really hoping to accomplish the sub 5 hour goal. Then next year in May, I have Ironman 70.3 Morro Bay, and that is my a triathlon race, a Ironman race for 2024. And the goal is to run sub 7-minute miles in that half marathon. Then after May, I will move on to marathon training, which I will train for the Santa Rosa Marathon, which is in September, I believe, in 2024, with the goal of qualifying for the Boston Marathon. So those are my goals. And that is what I will do. I will go sub 5 hours in a 70.3. I will run a sub 7-minute mile in a 70.3. And I will qualify for the Boston Marathon. Now, am I going to achieve those goals on my ideal time frame, the timeline that I set? Probably not. There's going to be failures. There's going to be obstacles. Things are going to come up. But that doesn't change the belief in myself. And that is another key piece of this mindset. Belief in yourself. Cultivating self-confidence and self-belief. You need to trust that you have what it takes to succeed. You've set this goal. Now you need to trust in your abilities. And yes, self-doubt will come in, those feelings of anxiety, the feeling like this is just impossible, this goal is too big. Well, that is where believing in yourself comes in. And you have to cultivate that self-confidence. You have to feel those feelings, let them come in. Yes, I feel nervous. I feel like today is a bad day. I had a bad workout. It's not going to work. Feel those feelings and then turn it around. Go back to positive thinking. Go back to visualizing successfully achieving your goal. And that is the next essential piece, visualization. I love visualization. I think it is so important to achieving your goals. Every race I do, leading up to the race, I spend time visualizing my success. I spend time visualizing each step of the race. Race morning, all of the chatter, being cold, standing in the starting chute. Everyone's nervous, cleaning my goggles, sitting there, waiting, hearing the beep every 5 seconds as racers go into the water. I think about that. I feel it. I visualize it. I visualize the start, running into the water, having a successful entry. Maybe you're jumping off a pier. Whatever it is, visualize doing that successfully. Visualize having a successful swim. I have had panic attacks in the swim before. So visualizing having a successful swim. What will I do if I have a panic attack? What am I going to do? I'm going to roll over. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Visualize and prepare. Plan. Like I said, be strategic. Visualize each piece, the bike, the run, whatever your goal is. Maybe it's saving money. You need to visualize what you're going to do to save money. Visualize making the right decisions. Visualize where you're going to cut and how you're going to say no when someone asks you to do something. Visualization is so key. Commitment. You need to be committed. That is another huge piece of this. Staying committed. When you set a goal that you really want to achieve, you need to make that a top priority. Staying committed means making sacrifices. Maybe I'm not going to be able to go out as often as I did before. Maybe I'm going to have to go to bed earlier so that I have time to get up in the morning and I'm not completely tired, because over time you might say, you know what, I want to wake up early every day, but I'm still going to go to bed at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm going to get up at 4:30. You might be able to pull that off for a week, but you're not going to do that over the long term. You're going to get sick. You're going to start sleeping in. You're going to fall off. You set a goal, but did not take the appropriate steps to figure out how you're going to get up early consistently. Consistent is another one of those key things. If you can do something consistent every single day, you are going to get better at it. You are going to get closer to accomplishing what it is. And if that's getting up early, then you need to be consistent. I need to have a consistent bedtime. I need to have a consistent routine. Maybe that's putting the alarm across the room if I can't get up, so that I consistently every morning have to get out of bed and go turn that alarm off. I'm going to consistently go into the bathroom and flush water on my face, wake myself up. Whatever it is, being consistent every single day. I'm extremely consistent in my diet or in what I eat. Consistency in tracking my calories. I track every single thing that goes in my mouth right now because I am trying to cut weight. And making that easier is being consistent with what I eat. I eat the same pre-workout, toast, peanut butter, honey. I eat the same breakfast, oatmeal, protein powder. I eat the same snacks. I have just a couple of bars that I will eat when I'm on the run, sandwich. So it makes it very easy for me to consistently track my calories. So being consistent is so important. Being adaptable, right? That's another one. If you are so set in your ways and you don't have the ability to be flexible, to adjust your strategy, I can guarantee you the path that you start out here visualizing and strategizing to achieve this goal, that's not the path you're going to take. There are going to be obstacles, there are going to be challenges, and you're going to have to be adaptable. You're going to have to maneuver, adjust, and ultimately you're not trying to move the goalpost. The goal is the same, but the path that you take will change. So you need to be ready for that. You need to embrace those changes, adjust your strategy, and just continue to keep the end goal in mind. All right, one last one. What else would it be? Failures, setbacks. Oh my gosh. I talked about that being obviously adaptable to changes and obstacles. Well, if you can't learn from your failures, then you are failing. I am where I am now, I would say, because I have learned from my failures. It takes time. You need to sit back and analyze what went wrong. You need to, in some cases, accept responsibility for it. I didn't lose the weight this week because I cheated on my diet. I didn't run the speed I wanted to in that 5K because I skipped a lot of workouts. And that was a failure. But you need to learn from what those failures were and then refine your approach. And if it means tightening up on your schedule, tightening up on your diet, just learn from that. So here I am going on and on about what I think this mindset is. I thought I would record and it would be maybe 10, 15 minutes. But let me just throw out some topics that I will cover in future episodes. And a lot of these are goal specific and others are just being a good human, be a good person, right? In general. So what are topics that I want to cover? Authenticity. I will be authentic. That is going to be an episode. And what does that mean? It just means living in alignment with your true self, right? Your values, your belief. Be who you really are. I record videos of myself all the time. And one of the things that I set out to do when I started making those videos was to be authentic. And I get negative comments every so often, right? And those hurt. But guess what? Sometimes you sit with them, you think about them, but then you let them go, right? Negativity is not what we want to focus on, but ultimately I am being authentic in my videos. So I'm being true to myself, and it doesn't matter what others think, right? Our uniquenesses are so amazing. That's what makes us all so incredibly interesting, is being unique. We don't need to conform to what everyone else believes. We need to be comfortable in our own skin. And I swear that has allowed me to connect with my subscribers, my audience, is they can see on a regular basis, because I'm publishing videos all the time, that I'm not overacting. I'm not switching opinions and going with what social trends are saying. I'm just being who I am. And that requires being vulnerable and transparent. But people will see who you really are. And that is going to allow people to connect with you at a much deeper level. So be authentic. That's something we're going to talk a lot about in the future. Sacrifices. I will make sacrifices. If you're going to achieve a goal, making sacrifices is part of the deal. You got to be willing to cut things out, to say no. You're going to need to be committed, disciplined, right? You're going to be stepping out of your comfort zone. That means going out with friends less, right? That means going to bed early. That means foregoing whatever that immediate pleasure is to get to the long-term goal. I will be consistent. I am going to hammer being consistent. It is so important to your progress. I will be disciplined. What does that mean? It means having self-control, being focused on what you should do. It's making conscious choices that align with your long-term goals. I will be intentional. That I believe I mentioned at the beginning in this, Michael Hyatt, the busier you are, the more intentional you must be. That is a quote by Michael Hyatt, and I love that quote. I consider myself a fairly busy person, maybe not busier than everyone else, but I've got kids, I've got a job, I'm training 15, 16 hours a week to achieve my goals. So I'm busy. And that quote just hammers home how important it is to be very considerate of the choices you make. The busier you are, the more intentional you must be. So what that means is you need to be very intentional with the distractions you let into your life. Am I going to commit to doing this weekend? Oh, all my friends are going to this concert. I would love to go to this concert, but that means I'm going to be out till midnight, maybe 1 a.m, and I have a really long ride on Saturday. I need to ride 3 hours. It's my long run. I got a 20-miler before my marathon. Am I putting that workout in jeopardy because I made a choice that wasn't in direct favor of, it wasn't the best choice to make to keep me moving towards my goal. So being intentional, being very careful about the distractions you let in. Other topics, things that I will be hammering home on this podcast, being mindful. Being very mindful kind of goes along with being intentional. Being relentless, having a relentless commitment. I mentioned, I love that word, relentless. You have to be relentless in the pursuit of your goals, setting your priorities, and making it happen. Being an effective person, right? That doesn't just mean being productive, but being effective. I will be effective. I will be grateful. So many times we are not grateful for the things that are around us, being grateful for the people we know, being grateful for the fact that I can get up and be miserable in the morning and tired and go out for a run in the cold because I am able-bodied. I have the ability to do that. I am healthy and I am working towards a goal. Be grateful for that journey. I am grateful for the obstacles because they are teaching me along the way. And one more. I will be humble. Be humble. You don't boast. Celebrate others' wins. Celebrate the talents, the achievements of others. Don't boast about your achievements. Be humble. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to talk about today. So let's just sum this up. Basically, my goal here, sharing the I will mindset, is to empower you to take charge of your goals, right? My ultimate hope is that something I say during these episodes, it has a positive impact on you achieving your goals. It helps you get up in the morning. It comes to mind when you are hurting on that long run, when you are frustrated. I would love to make an impact on the goals that you achieve, and that's ultimately what I am setting out to do. So I'd love to hear you. If you listen to this and you have comments, you have feedback, questions, suggestions, all of it, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me on Twitter at iwillmindset. It's just one word, iwillmindset. On Instagram, it is iwill.mindset. Unfortunately, someone took that name and they're not doing anything with it for years. So on Instagram, it is iwill.mindset. My website is iwillmindset.com. On there, I am posting regular articles about all of these topics. I am sharing my videos, all types of stuff, working on some really cool product. So check out the website, iwillmindset.com, iwillmindset.com. And finally, if you want to get to know me better and you're interested, check out my YouTube. It is CJ Media, which is CJAYE. A lot of people think my name is CJ, but that is actually just the initials to my name. My name is Chris C. J is my middle name, Jay. And my last name is Elmore, E. CJ is my stage name. That's what I came up with as a short name. And I actually have the URL, cj.com. But on YouTube, CJ Media is where I share all types of videos. I am working on a series right now called Daily Cadence, and it's an in-depth look at a full day, each day, sometimes more days than just one, but a full day of life training for whatever my current goal is at the time. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you subscribe. Leave me some feedback if you like it. And I will talk to you soon.
It's the coldest hand that run down this land where the ocean lands. It's the tallest sound, the damn smallest crowd, but their hearts break loud. Far from ever feeling lost with me, I'll push you back towards the land and sea. They're going down for love, and love is free. You're never lost among the crowd with me. Never lost among the crowd with me. Everywhere you go I'll be. Anywhere you go I'll see. You're never lost among the crowd with me. It's the furthest sun, the gone done for love. It's a pulse and shove. It's the sharpest cry. The here goes, but why? Where the desperate lie. Far from ever feeling lost with me. I'll push you back towards the land and sea. They're going down for love, and love is free. Stick with me and I will guarantee you're never lost among the crowd with me. Never lost among the crowd with me. Everywhere you go I'll be. Anywhere you go I'll see. You're never lost among the crowd with me. Crowd with me. Never lost among the crowd with me. Everywhere you go I'll be.